Well, that's me. I'm here at the Forrest Graperide. Going to be riding 101 kilometers, and it's going to be a load of fun. We'll see how we go with all the something like over 2,000 cyclists.
Hi, it's Marnix from New Zealand. In this video I ride my electric DFxl Velomobile in a 101 kilometer event called the Graperide. The Forrest Graperide is an annual event in Marlborough, New Zealand, where over 2,000 cyclists and of course their supporters ride their bikes over either a 42, 101 or a 202 kilometer course and enjoy watching the crushing of grapes after the last cyclist gets back. I decided to enter the e-bike category for the 101 kilometer course and wanted to get a very fast time. At the start of the ride, the cyclists start in groups called waves based on their estimated time within which they can complete their ride. To make things as fair as possible for all cyclists, e-bikes start in a wave by themselves after all the standard bikes have started. This is to prevent cyclists being able to draft behind e-bikes to get faster times. My Velomobile doesn't really leave much draft, but it did mean that I had to pass many cyclists along the ride to get a good time. I got to the event quite early and saw the Magnum riders as they started their first lap of their 202 kilometer course. Then I enjoyed a hot cup of coffee and started to look around at the stalls from the retailers and started to chat with people at the event. There was even a lady who was doing the 101 kilometer course on a penny farthing. She got to leave a little earlier to ensure she would be back in time for the grape crushing. The weather was fantastic, so I did not need to have my race cap with me. I took along my camera, laptop, a spare battery for the mid-drive, spare tubes and tyres, repair tools, some snacks, water and a jersey. A lot of people at the event were curious about the Velomobile, and some were quite knowledgeable about it. There were some reservations when I would mention that I had an electric assist inside, but hey, in New Zealand any bicycle designed to be primarily moved by the rider can have up to 300 watts of electric assist and still be classed as a road legal bicycle. Even without an electric motor, my Velomobile doesn't comply with very strict UCI requirements, so I just enjoyed having the fastest bicycle in the event. The start was very slow, but once I got on the open road I was able to start getting up to good cruising speeds. I can usually keep up near 50 kilometers per hour for several hours, and having done the maths and some test rides, I knew I could get the fastest time of the day. Most cyclists were easy to pass. The rules for those riding the event was not to break any of New Zealand's road rules, to stay no more than 2 abreast, stay as far to the left of the road as practicable, help if you see anyone in an incident, and not to suck a wheel when in a bunch. There were other rules as well, but these were the main ones. I used my horn to let cyclists in front know that I was about to pass. A couple of short friendly beeps let them know that I was close behind them, and most cyclists even moved a bit more to the left when they could. This meant I was able to keep up a good average speed. I wasn't completely sure how the Velomobile would compare with other cyclists going up hills, but I just turned on my e-assist and easily passed other cyclists. I'm very happy that I have a e-assist, except that people think that I don't do any work to cycle. They think it's like a car. I still need to pedal and to keep up near 50 kilometers per hour on a flat still requires a lot of effort on my part, but up hills is where the e-assist does a lot of the work. It makes my DFxl seem very light, and I was able to push it up speeds up to about 26 kilometers per hour. The views during the ride were great. Sitting with my head up makes it easy for me to look around at the sights. I always look forward to going down hills. The Velomobile feels like a luge or something, 0 effort and maximum speed. I had to be careful around some of the tight bends. I had learned earlier to take it easy around the bends when going downhill, because the brakes get used heavily and become less efficient over lengthy downhill sections. Still, it felt like I was slightly faster than most cyclists, even on the windy downhill sections, where they have the advantage of being able to lean into turns. In New Zealand, it's generally accepted that people on bicycles should move over for cars, so cars can overtake them safely. In this ride, due to the large number of cyclists on the road, I felt like the cars needed to move over for me at times. Cars struggle to pass a group of cyclists because both the car and the bunch of cyclists take up so much space on the road. One car held me up for what felt like ages. I really wanted him to let me pass because I was able to fit in the lane to pass the bunch of cyclists where the car couldn't, but he wouldn't do it, and so I had to wait and see my average speed dropping and dropping. Oh well, I guess that's why they call it the Grape Ride and not the Grape Race. To try and recover my average speed again, I stopped for a minute in Havelock and changed the battery for my mid-drive. I probably could have done the whole ride on one battery, but I wanted to go full speed for the rest of the way. I put the assist into level 5, my maximum assist, and started boosting it. The speed was slightly faster than without the electric assist, and it was certainly a lot easier on my muscles. The cadence was about where I like it, so going 50 km per hour pretty much all the way back to Renwick seemed pretty good. I could see my average speed climbing again and was anticipating an average overall speed of 42 km per hour, which I thought was still very fast and could be the fastest. Having a floor in the Velomobile made it easy for me to grab little snacks to eat, and I felt like getting some energy into my system. I had a mix of dried fruits and nuts, along with a bit of chocolate. I didn't eat the chocolate till after the ride, but it was delicious anyway. I did have a drink of water, but didn't really use it much. I had a bit when I stopped to change the battery, and that was about it. My favourite traffic on the roads would have to be motorcyclists. Not only are motorbikes cool, but their riders are often the friendliest of all road users. They often wave or give a thumbs up, and they can easily pass me without any trouble of the limited space on the road. They were encouraging, and during this ride there were even a couple of officials that stayed with me for short moments to see how fast I was going. Last year I did the same course on my Butchers and Bicycles cargo trike. I even took my son in the front. We had a blast. We were eating all sorts of delicious treats along the way. I did get a bit sore from sitting on the saddle for so long though, and I certainly didn't get that problem this time around. The seat in the Velomobile has a thick venti sit cushion, and both the front wheels and the rear wheel have suspension. I think I had my suspension set a bit too soft for this fast ride, which was noticeable as I was descending into Picton. I started to bounce around a little bit more than I wanted. Once I got back, I saw my family were there to cheer for me, and I found out that I had the second fastest ride of the day. I have a new appreciation for the speed that the so-called speed bunnies, the fast cyclists, must be able to go, and if they had started at the same time as me, they too would have been passing cyclists with ease. Maybe one day I will remove the electric assist for one of these events to see how the Velomobile goes then. I am researching the pinion gearbox and similar gearing systems, and maybe one day I'll revert to one of them. I had many people come up and chat with me asking if the Velomobile had a motor. Once I told them that it did have a motor, they were relieved. What I think is interesting is that many of those cyclists I passed with ease, I passed whilst not using any electric assist. Once the event was over, it was time to head home. I loved the whole event, and I'm keen to do more rides like it, maybe even some longer distances. Hey, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy this video.